We'll call the meeting to order and have a roll call by the commission secretary.
Mr. Fiddler, Mr. Oberlin.
Here.
Mr. Love.
Here.
Mr. Burridge.
Here.
Mr. Huckabee.
Here.
Mr. Alexander.
Here.
Mr. Burgess.
Here.
Mr. Peterson.
Here.
Thank you. We're going to, for now, pass the announcements and presentations, and we'll hear a motion for the approval of the minutes of the Transportation Commission meeting of October the 1st, 2018.
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second, any discussion? Are you guys up to speed and going to let us vote? There we go. Motion passes. The consent docket is item 136 through 139. If there is a commissioner that would like to pull an item out and talk about it separately, we will. Otherwise, we'll hear a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Thank you. Motion passes. There's an election tomorrow, so I want to encourage everybody to vote. So, better look around here, make sure I see all you guys. I don't know how many more times I'll see you. And so, we have other important people here. Lori and Peterson and Bobby are good about coming to our meetings. So, Lori, I saw Bobby walking around somewhere. There he is, standing up. There's others here, too, and we just thank you guys for supporting ODOT, for making it a good place to have a lot of good collaboration. Everybody in this room is a cooperative, working people, and it just makes things so much better. So we appreciate all you guys and gals, and it's made being a commissioner pleasant and easy to do. And you can tell we're waiting on the governor to come. We have another very, very special person here today. He and I have spent the morning together, and some of you may not remember or realize that I would never wear an orange tie, but he wears one quite frequently, and we still get along. But good to have you here, Secretary Ridley, and you don't need an introduction. You don't need anybody to talk about you. But if we don't say that you're responsible and continue to tell you that, it would be something that they would come back and say, how did you leave that out? Because you're so important to this state, to this department. There's just a few of you guys that have made this better and better and better every day for everybody in here, regardless if they're a lobbyist, a contractor, a staff member, no matter who they are, and we thank you so much. Thank you very much. Item 140 is the engineering contracts. Mr. Tiegler would ask you to come and present item 140 and 141. AB and AB, please, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Item 140 of the engineering contracts, I have two this month. Part A is Pottawatomie County, District 3. We have selected CEC Corporation to prepare construction plans for I-40 from Oklahoma County line going east about 7.4 miles. That's 3 projects in the 8-year program. The total not to exceed amount is $3,142,959. Part B in Tulsa County in District 8. Department has selected Garver to prepare construction plans for the I-44 US 75 interchange. Total not to exceed amount is $3,790,063. This project is, and projects are in the 8-year construction work plan as well, and I'll try to answer any questions if you have any.
You've heard the presentation of items A and B, number
Motion to
140.
approve.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes. You may present item 141.
141, I have two parts as well. This is Part A, statewide all districts, our off-system bridge inspections. The National Bridge Inspection Standards require that all bridge on public roads be inspected once every 2 years. We previously selected 10 firms. This supplement is with AIA Engineers. We have increased the supplement, or their contract, by $20,416.30. Part B is Payne County, Commission District 4. We've previously authorized EST to perform the engineering and prepare final construction plans for State Highway 33. This supplement not to exceed amount is $160,667. All 5 of these projects are in the 8-year construction work plan, and approval is recommended, and try to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you for that presentation, Mr. Tiegler. What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Tiegler.
Thank you.
Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Love?
I meant to mention something, and it got by me, but anyhow, back to 136. And so that is for improving rail crossings throughout the state. And I wanted to be sure to mention, because it's really a very noteworthy thing, that ODOT had sold a rail line that we had purchased, and we sold it in about 2012. Chairman or Secretary Ridley would remember probably better than I, but anyhow, we ended up with a large amount of money that we were able to reinvest back into our rail infrastructure, and really a huge thing that kind of went under the radar, in my opinion, but I wanted to be sure that ODOT got credit for that.
Thank you, Commissioner Love. The ODOT's foresight to originally take those rail lines and then make private public partnerships and then sell has been very good for the state. You are so right. It's been one of the greatest things that's happened here. And it probably did fly on the radar. But I know Lori's back there going like this. Thank you for mentioning that. Item number 142, item 142, Mr. Leonard's going to present as he's walking up here. Item 142A through C are the change orders that are less than $75,000. And if a commissioner wants to discuss any of those, now's the time to do that. If you have no questions about those under $75,000, he'll make the presentation on those greater than $75,000. Are there any questions on item 142? Hearing none, please present item 143.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I'd like to present item 143, parts A through C. These are the change orders on projects that have a cumulative total of change orders in excess of $75,000. Your approval is recommended, and I'd be glad to try and answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Leonard. Do we have a motion on item 143?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Leonard. Ms. Helms is going to present the lettings. Number 144, A, B, and C.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Agenda item 144 has 3 parts: final January 2019, tentative February 2019, and tentative March 2019. The department requests and recommends approval of this item.
Thank you. You've heard Ms. Helms' presentation.
Motion to approve item 144.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Item 144 passed. Thank you, Ms. Helms. You can probably sit down and relax. Oh, mercy. You know any good stories that you want to tell? You know, there's been so many good things happen this year at the department. Having seen the success and the results of that project in Norman and this project on I-235, it's just great that we've been able to make the progress that we've been able to make for the state and infrastructure. So, Mr. Dels, tell us how we can move the state forward some more here.
By taking my recommendations.
There you go.
Good morning, Commissioners, Mr. Chairman. Item 145 this morning are our recommendations for award. Part A, this is with regard to a project we had last September. The following item referred to by Calder was deferred from the September 2018 regular bid opening. It is now recommended that this item be awarded to the low bidder, and that was Calder A51. With regard to the October 18th bid opening, it is recommended that the following items from that bid opening referred to by Calder be awarded. It's Calder's 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, 170, 180, 190, 200, 210, 215, 220, 230, 240, 260 with alternate B, 270, 311, 315, 330, 345, and 360. It is also recommended that the following items from the October 18th bid opening referred to by Calder be rejected. That's Calder's 340 and 350. And lastly, an emergency bid opening was held on November 2nd, 2018 at 10:30 a.m. For project number EMC-030N 77 in a hole. It is now recommended that the low bid for that emergency project be rejected. And the director is going to give a little more information about that emergency project here in a minute. But this concludes my recommendations for award. Your approval is requested.
Thank you, Mr. Dels.
Sir.
You've heard his presentation, and he said we need to take his advice. How would you like to handle that?
Motion to approve.
You got one level.
Can I get a second?
Did we get a second?
Yeah.
Down there,
Thank you for
Commissioner
overlooking my orange
Peterson.
shirt. Thank you, appreciate it.
you can stop proceedings pretty quick. Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Motion passes.
Thank you.
You want to peek out the door and see if I can continue or I need to wait? Nobody's listening to me. Brenda, you want to peek out the door, see if I can continue or I need to wait? Thank you. I guess everybody knows Bedlam's this weekend. Y'all can wear all that orange you want. It's not gonna do good. I could tell the story of when Gary put the football out there. It didn't work for him. We did change it one time, and it was pretty embarrassing for me. I still have the pictures he made me take. I think when we put that up, how many years was it before you got to change? Because you were certain that year is the year.
Way too many, Mr.
Oh, mercy.
Jack Cooper helps you remember that, though, doesn't he?
Now, now say what you didn't say about the way.
Hey, Governor. special lady with us.
Who's that?
Thank you, Governor, for joining us. And at this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Secretary Director Mike Patterson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Governor, I'm glad that you showed up because Anthony Dels was up here. He's got on an orange shirt, Bedlam Week, you know, and all that. And these guys were not friendly to the office engineer. So
Not warming up.
he's asking for,
people up here.
he's asking for little reinforcements from you, Governor.
Oh, you, how'd I make that mistake?
You didn't do enough due diligence.
Governor, thank you for being here. I know that you have a very busy schedule today, and for you to take time to come and celebrate with us the opening of I-235. I-235 is, we could have done a ribbon cutting, but the public wanted their road back. And consequently, we have decided just to open it up, and then, you know, all the problems of cutting a ribbon under traffic, that's a challenge. And so we didn't want to do that, but we thought this would be a great opportunity to talk about I-235 and the accomplishments of this agency and this commission in getting that project completed with our partners
And this administration.
in this administration.
Thank you.
That's exactly right. Over the weekend, I was thinking about this, and most of these guys have heard this story, Governor, but I want you to think about where you were in 1989. Okay, got that in your mind? That's when we cut the ribbon on the first segment of I-235. We've been working on this 5.4 miles for 30 years, and we're not finished yet. We still have the interchange at I-44 and I-235 to undertake. That is going to be a huge challenge, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But this particular project, Governor, I remember last January when we moved those two bridges into place, those railroad bridges, and you were down on the ground with us, ground zero, so to speak. One of the aspects that I'll never forget is one of the bridge contractor that was helping with Allen Contracting. He came over to me and he said, "Who is that lady? Why is everybody paying attention?" I said, "Well, that's the governor of Oklahoma. That's Mary Fallin."
Actually, I think that he asked that I move off the highway and get that woman off the highway. She's
Get
not
that
supposed to be
woman off
here.
the
That's actually
highway.
what he said, but
He did say that. Yes, he did. I tried to mitigate that a little bit, muffle, if you will. But that's a company that has done business internationally all over this country. He's never seen a governor on a project. I got to tell you, Governor, that meant so much to me that you and the first gentleman came down that day to see such an innovative effort by this agency. It would have been easy to be like all other governors and stayed at home and maybe watched live streaming. But you were there. You wanted to be there. And that means a great deal to this agency and to this state that you care that much about transportation. This project, we talk about what the highway looks like. We're widening it to 6 and 8 lanes. If you've driven it since we opened it, it's amazing. There's another thing going on. Drainage. You know, that place floods all the time. And it flooded during construction, but it was flooding back in the 70s, before there was construction, because the drainage pipes were only 12 inches or 24 inches, 1 or 2 feet. We've replaced that now with an 8-foot drainage pipe. I don't think it's going to flood anymore. If it does, we're all in trouble anyway. So if 8 feet can't drain the water, then we're in trouble. So you got better drainage, a better highway. It's safer. There's more mobility to it. The railroad has a better bridge. I don't think we could do much better than that. Governor, I know there's some things that you wanted to talk about. I want to introduce you to the team, but if you want to go ahead and say a few words.
All right, love to. Well, thank you very much, Secretary Patterson. I appreciate your very kind comments, and it's been a great pleasure to work with you over the many years I've had the opportunity to know you. And I don't remember how many years you've been here, but you've been here a long time.
Yes, ma'am, I have.
How many years has it been?
It's about 40.
40, okay. Well, I've been here in public office 28 years, so I've worked with you 28 of those 40 years. So it's been a great pleasure to work with you, and it's been fun to watch you come up through the ranks in this department, to be able to be the director and certainly to be the cabinet secretary now for the Department of Transportation. And we appreciate all that you've done, and you certainly have built a great staff, a great team, and you certainly have wonderful commissioners. And commissioners, I appreciate all your great work. I think this is, and as I said, I've had the opportunity to be working in this area, this space for 28 years. I think it's probably one of the best transportation commission that we've had since I've been here. And I can still remember the days, I've been around long enough, where we didn't always have a plan that focused on a vision for the future, one that would prioritize our spending, one that would look at what's the most important needs of the state, and to take the politics out of it. I can still remember those days when politics were involved in road and bridge construction, and whoever had the most power at the Capitol back in those early days, decades ago, might be able to get their project done first, even though it may not be something that was really that critical at that time for the state's infrastructure system. So I'm very proud that we have an 8-year plan in the state of Oklahoma, and that we tried to protect it as much as possible, even during some really tough economic times that we experienced in 2014, beginning for about 3 years of economic downturns with the energy sector. But we tried really hard, as much as we could, to protect transportation funding. In fact, I think over the last 8 years, I think we've allocated and spent about $1.1 billion in infrastructure in the state, which is a record amount of money that we've spent in Oklahoma. And there have been decades of neglect, for many, many decades, from I don't even know how far back, 50, 60, maybe even more years ago, that we've had that neglect. And we had a lot of catching up to do in the state, but we've made great progress, and I'm very proud that we have fixed, I think you told me now, about 80% of our structurally deficient bridges. And I see Secretary Ridley here, and I always think about him, and Secretary, it's always great to see you. I'm so glad you're here today. I think about you often, but I can still remember the days when I was on the Congressional Transportation Committee, and I specifically requested, when I was a member of Congress, to be on that committee, because it's always been an issue. It's near and dear to my heart. But I still remember Secretary Ridley coming up to Congress, and we would ask him to testify about states' challenges and problems that they might have with infrastructure. And of course, back in those days, we were ranked as one of the top 5 worst in bridges in our nation. I think now we're in the top 5 best in the nation because of all the things. So, and I don't want to go back to number 10, by the way. I want to say number 5, one of the top 5 in our infrastructure and our bridges in Oklahoma. But Secretary Ridley was one of the big voices for our state at that time. And Secretary, we wish you well in your retirement. Hope you're having some fun. We miss you here, but certainly Secretary Patterson has some big shoes to fill, but he's doing a great job. But because of his leadership, your leadership, this commission, and people have gone before us, we've done some great things. It's one of the things I think that's working very well for the state of Oklahoma. You hear a lot of instability these days in politics, but we talk about efficiency, effectiveness, being able to open up this major transportation project that was expected to take 3 years and to be finished in 22 months. One of the state's largest road construction projects. As you mentioned, that back in 1989, we were having all kinds of problems. That was the year before I was elected. I was running for office that year as a legislator. But to see the great accomplishments we've made, and to be able to do it quickly, and to be able to take care of one of the major corridors for Oklahoma City, and frankly even for our state. A lot of people from all over the state travel up and down the I-35 corridor. You know, I made a couple notes just to remind myself of just the important work of this particular project itself. We certainly know it's one of our busiest thoroughfares. Any of us that got caught on that traffic trying to get home or trying to get to a meeting, trying to get to an event over the decades not even recently, but decades, we had this serious issue on that highway, and it certainly has been one of our most important construction projects that we planned over the years, and we finally saw it to fruition and got the funding for it. It's very, very important. It's certainly eased all the traffic congestion, but when you ease that congestion, you also make a road safer. And of course, safety is always one of the most important things we want to do, so we can make sure that our motorists and our public are able to get to and from a location safe and come home at night to their families. It's also probably one of the most complicated projects because you had a major railroad going across the facility. You had flooding, as you mentioned, so you had a lot of pipe work and drains that you had to install. And you were also doing all this road construction during motorists traveling up and down the highway, which was not easy. And I'm very proud to say that I think you had 4 lane closures, four times the road was closed, probably when we were moving mainly we were moving the big railroad crossing, which was fascinating to watch, by the way. I still want lights on that thing. I think it could be cool.
I know you do.
I've been teasing him. I thought it'd be really cool if you could put lights on top of that, and it'd kind of be like the scissor tail structure on I-40. Just be something kind of interesting, but maybe too
She wants
complicated.
thunder lights on the bridge.
Yeah, I wanted to have
Thunder.
Thunder or OU, OSU, TU, maybe. I don't know. We could think of all kinds of that could go on there. But it's certainly one of the most complicated things that we had, and you did keep our lane closures down to a minimum, which we truly appreciate. And to reopen, as I said, 22 months is quite remarkable. Now, the good part is that it will certainly make traveling much easier for everyone, but the other big part of it is that it was an $88 million expenditure, one of maybe the largest dollar amount contract ever awarded for a major highway construction in one of the major traffic areas of our state. I think my statistics show that about 100,000 vehicles have traveled daily up and down that highway, and probably more, because I bet more people use it now that will be less congested with more lanes coming up and down it. It'll save a lot of time. I mean, I remember driving down that construction area, or even before we even started construction, you might drive 35, 40 miles an hour because there were so many cars before it was even expanded. Now people can travel quicker, up to maybe 60. I think 60 is your mile per hour.
60, let's go 60.
60, yes. I said that, 60. Yeah. I have never gone over that speed limit in the last 8 years. I haven't driven the last 8 years, but anyway. But it'll certainly save people on their fuel costs. I mean, just people traveling back and forth, those who commute between the two cities for work. It'll save on commerce from delivery trucks going up and down the highway, fuel costs on that, time costs. Time is money, which will really help. I think it'll save time for, frankly, the highway patrol. And just when you don't have as much congestion, when it's easier to get up and down the highways, and you don't have all that construction, it should save time for the highway patrol, and certainly for the Department of Transportation employees, have something that's new and modern and doesn't have all the flooding problems and lane congestion, things like that. Edmond and Oklahoma City, to be able to make that trip probably in 15 minutes versus 30 minutes at different times of the past will certainly help with economic development and commerce, may help our city expand in so many different directions. And it's a great example of the public sector and the private sector working together. I know that you had several incentives that were put in place early on to finish the project quickly. They were innovative, they were wise, and Secretary Ridley, once again, thank you, and the commissioners and Secretary Patterson for working so hard on that, and Allen Construction and all the subcontractors that worked on this project. We appreciate their diligence and seeing the wisdom and being innovative too, to be able to finish it so quickly during that time period. It's just a great example of what's working well, and there are things that work well in state government that are efficient and making things more effective in a timely manner. So I wanted to come today and say thank you to all the Department of Transportation staff, your engineers, your contractors, your employees that work so hard, sometimes in some tenuous situations where you had a lot of motorists going up and down especially during the construction, may not have always been as patient as they should have been, but our number one goal was to keep our Department of Transportation employees safe. Certainly, we want to keep our contractors safe, our private sector contractors and construction, all those that worked on that. And most of all, thank you to Secretary Patterson for all of his great work, Secretary Ridley for your work in the past, and to the commissioners here on the Department of Transportation. Commissioners, we appreciate your time and your effort and working with keeping the legislators informed, which I think will be very important. Just a little side note, after tomorrow, you will have about, I've heard two figures, 70 and 80, but you will have somewhere around 70, 80% of the legislators that will have less than 2 years' experience or no experience beginning tomorrow. So one of the things that I hope that you will do with whoever the next governor is and whoever is elected to the House and Senate, that you will continue to talk to them about the importance of keeping our commitment over the last 8 years of investing in infrastructure. And I can also add that I went about 3 weeks ago to New York to the bond rating agencies, and of course we let bonds to build a lot of these projects. And one of the things that the bond rating agencies were very impressed with was that we had structurally fixed our budget, made it fiscally more sound than what it has been, and that we now have great economic growth, a lot of new jobs, opportunities, revenue. But they also appreciate the fact that we've been investing in our infrastructure, because that is very important to the bond rating agencies. And that's why we saw one of our bond ratings go up recently over the last couple of months. So keep it going. Appreciate all your great work, and it's been a great pleasure to serve with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Governor, we're going to give you another round of applause for being a transformational transportation governor, unparalleled. Thank you. Aren't we going to take some pictures? Somebody give us some instructions, you know, we're...
So as governor's walking over here, we do need to take one picture because this project won an award recently for the bridge move. And so Governor, we won first place at a recent engineering award, and so we'd like to bring you and Commissioner Love and the chairman and others to receive this, and here comes the others to receive this award.
up or sit down? Okay, move the chairs back. We'll get him up. Where's he at?
He's right over there.
He's fixing to.
Yeah, you better get ready.
Come on, Gary.
Are you telling the governor of Oklahoma no? I love that.
Appreciate everybody being so patient today. The Memorial Historic Day in our state. And are you finished? Or do you want to do some more talking
I got
about
more
the
talking.
I-235 bridge?
You know, and I've got more talking, and I know we were rushed, and I know it's late for an ODOT commission meeting. We're taking up time, and it's hot in here for some reason. But I think this deserves just a little more conversation. Commissioners, we have brought the team here, just as we would at a ribbon cutting, and we didn't have a chance with the governor's schedule to get into that. So I think it's important that we recognize the ODOT team that was part of the construction, the contractors. So, if I could, you know, when we got into this project, it took not the normal pre-qualification, but it took another pre-qualification. Because we knew the talent that would have to come to make this project what it is today. So Jeff Allen stepped up, and he brought American Bridge Company with him. So I think it's important that we recognize, and if I could have, and Jeff hates this part, I know he does, but if Jeff, Jerry Johnson, Kevin Bronner, and Reed Greenhill would please stand from Allen Contracting, I would appreciate it. Now, as you know, on any project like this, it takes a lot of people helping. So there are lots of subcontractors. I'm not going to get them all, but I'm going to get some key ones, some key subcontractors. American Bridge Company, Action Safety Supply, Markwell Paving, Redland Contracting, Traffic and Lighting Systems, TLS, WW AFCO Steel. If you guys could stand, please. And then the Edmond residency. I think the whole residency was out there at one point or another. Whitney Pogue was standing up here holding the plaque. Whitney gave birth during this project. Her child is now in kindergarten. But we're happy for everybody No, seriously, Tom Hubbard, Trenton January, Rick Howland, Whitney Pogue, Shannon Bubba Shanks, Jeff Gardner, Jay Price, Dennis Singleton, who's retired, Karen Scammon, Paul Delaney, Tommy Jones, Guerrero, Bubba Fernandez. We got two Bubbas. If you guys could please stand. So as we gotta, thank you guys for being here and wanting to participate. As we kind of glossed over, but that award that the governor so kindly took a moment was a first place in Best Highway Bridge Project category for the Engineering News Regional Best Projects for 2018 for the South Region. It moves on to the national contest. We like our chances. This is not the last award this project will receive. We're going to go after some more because it's important that Oklahoma be recognized for the innovation that we brought to this project, for the cooperation, collaboration that we had on this project. At the same time, there were other awards that were attributed to this project, and Terry never likes to talk about these because they get into their area. But they won first place at the AASHTO Transportation Committee, and it had to do with all that it took to do live streaming. The whole, that's Facebook to you, Commissioner, that we did on the project, all the communications that went with the project as those bridges were being moved. That's just not NPR. That took them dressing me up, dressing Trenton January up, Brian Taylor, telling us what to say, how to say it.
You're saying an almost impossible job.
An almost impossible job for Brian Taylor. But
Notice the timing of my comment.
I understand. But the notion that the communications on this project was huge. We won first place for that, and for these guys, our media group who are behind the wall taking care of this meeting right now, out there with the cameras, and the whole agency bringing the opportunity for people to watch the bridges get moved. It's a huge deal. We also got honorable mention for our Facebook page and the whole effort around that, keeping people informed off-Broadway. And when we talk about off-Broadway, the next project's coming. Now we're going to introduce 100,000 cars of 235 with 100,000 vehicles on I-44. This is going to be an impactful. If you thought the last one was difficult, the next one is equally or more so. It's going to take that huge collaborative effort, public-private effort that we have, the Edmond residency team. It's going to take the entire agency to keep communication strong with the public. And when we talk about communications, it does not go unnoticed what the media did to help the public. When we would make an announcement, they would pick it up and get it out to the public to provide that service to the public that they knew exactly what we were going to do and when we were going to do it. And without the media, this would not have been the grand success that it is. But we're going to need their help again. As I said, when we get on to the next contract that we will be letting at the end of this month, and we'll be awarding at the next commission meeting if all goes to fruition, and we'll start construction in April. So we'll start start this cycle over again. Mr. Chairman, one more award I've got to talk about. I'm so proud of these guys. Work Zone Safety Awareness, another first place for the media group. You know, that's a huge deal for the governor, and she's come over virtually every year to kick off our Work Zone Awareness campaign. And you know, about 3 years ago, we made it a 24/7, 365 effort, and it still goes on today with our Work Zone Wednesdays, those cute quips that are supposed to grab your attention and make you think about work zones. So congratulations to you guys. So, she was. So, Mr. Chairman, I think I'll stop there with my report, but we did miss an agenda item that I do need to speak to.
We're not finished.
We're
You'll
not
have to-
finished?
You'll have to let us finish. We thank you for all your comments.
Yes, sir.
And I would mention again, the commission's appreciation and ODOT's appreciation for the fair coverage that the media have given us. But most of all, let people know what's going on. I mean, they've just done a tremendous job, and we can't brag on them enough. We're not trying to get you guys to write anything favorable, but it's made 1,000 times difference in how the public handles these projects with the way you guys have handled the notification, the information, and especially working with Terry's group. It's just more people need to do what y'all have done in trading information to keep the public informed. Item 146, Mr. Patterson, is a declaration of emergency, and your director's report is item 147, and you can move right into those, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 146 is declaration of emergency in Tulsa County, US 169 bridge over I-244. ODOT Bridge Division personnel discovered corrosion damage to the US 169 bridge carrying ramp over southbound to westbound I-244 in Tulsa County during a bridge inspection in October of 2018. There were damage to 2 steel reinforced concrete substructure bridge piers supporting the bridge structure. On the 15th of October, I declared an emergency in accordance with Title 61, Oklahoma Statutes, Section 130, and authority provided by Administrative Code Rule 730-1-5-1. The department's engineer's estimate for the required repairs was $304,666.85. If you recall, my authority to declare that emergency, it goes up to $750,000. So we went out, and you heard Anthony Deltz talk about we rejected a bid. That bid came in at $777,300. $300.75, which was significantly above the $304,000 estimate. So we have rejected that bid. We're going to re-advertise and take bids again. We think with some better explanations, better understanding of what the project is, we will get a favorable bid that will be under the $750,000 and more in line with our engineer's estimate. If by chance it does not happen that way, when we take bids on the 14th, we will bring it to you for your award and ratification at the December meeting. All of that's for informational purposes at this point. We may have to change that at a later date. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Any further comments?
I have no other comments, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Oh, wait, I do. I'm sorry.
Okay.
On your desk, you have a revision to the commission policy or administrative code regarding pre-qualifications. This is for you to look at, and we will come back to you at the December meeting asking your approval of that pre-qualification change. This is a change that the department and the Association of Oklahoma General Contractors has worked through. We've done a lot of research, what other states are doing, and a lot of in-house soul searching to make sure that we're comfortable. And both parties are, and so we bring it to you for your review and possible approval at the next meeting. That's
There's
all.
also an explanation of the process in there, if anybody is wondering, kind of guide you through the review process. If you have any questions, call back up here.
That's
What else?
correct. That's it.
Any other comments by the commission? Appreciate everybody showing up today, especially Secretary Ridley and the governor, and we'll see if anybody's ready to make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
Please vote. We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.